Welcome to Hank's Place. In Matthew 16, beginning with verse 13, we find Jesus asking his disciples who the people say the Son of Man is. No one really has a clue, including the disciples, until Simon receives a revelation from the Father. Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God, he says. Simon then is given a new name, Peter, or Rocky in today's vernacular, and a remarkable promise of spiritual authority soon to come to believers is issued. And then Jesus foretells his death in Jerusalem, and Peter takes him aside and begins to rebuke him, saying, God forbid it, Lord, this shall never happen to you. But he, Jesus, turned and said to Peter, Get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me, for you're not setting your mind on God's interests, but man's. Matthew 16, 22, 23. Now, did you get that last part? Satan was a stumbling block to Jesus, for he was inspiring even the disciples to shift focus, to look at life from man's perspective instead of God's, and then influence Jesus to do the same. Now, Jesus was a stumbling block to the Jews, for in him the law was fulfilled. Now, in that case, it was a good stumbling block, that they might stumble into the grace of God. But here in Matthew, we have the devil, always a bad stumbling block, using Peter's emotions, his concern for his beloved rabbi, and his natural ideas of the coming Messiah and the injustices that Jesus was talking about. The devil was stirring up all these things in Peter to try to get to Jesus, and then to have Jesus change perspectives also from seeing the upcoming events, the horrific events, from man's viewpoint and not God's. My friends, I'm saying this because it's the same today. People are being killed unjustly. There are horrific events. People are being oppressed. And people's emotions are being torn this way and that way. And we find that the media is not on God's side. The media is tempting us to view the goings-on from man's perspective only, and then react emotionally and to take action, impulsive actions, the wrong kind of actions. Remember Balaam, who kept teaching Balak to put a stumbling block before the sons of Israel? In that case, it was to tempt them with wonderful idolatrous food and luscious Moabite women, to forget about what God was all about and what their instructions for living were all about, and to just plunge into idolatry and just take the wrong path. Well, what can you and I do today, my friend, to help in these tumultuous times? I suggest we put on love, for love is God, and love is the perfect bond of unity. You can check out the whole context of that in Colossians 3, verses 12 to 15. Now is the time more than ever to be an instrument of God's love. We need to keep seeing things from God's perspective. We are Christians, so we can do that innately, for Christ lives in us. Friend, it's time to help others come alive.